Y vamos a checar. Hola, aquí estamos ya en vivo. Vamos a checar porque estamos haciendo los en vivos. Oh, in English. Hi. I'm so used to speaking to Spanish audiences that I forget that I am now speaking to an English audience. So welcome everybody. My name is Miranda Ortiz and we are going to be doing a live here. I just want to check before we start that we are on live. So I'm going to be introducing you guys to my personal coach. His name is Alan Phillips, and I'm very, very happy to be able to do this. I just want to check if I can get a thumbs up if you can see us on all the different streams. Alan, can I get a thumbs up from you if you're on? Okay, beautiful. So here we are, and we're on live. And now I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm on Alan's channels. So basically, my name is Miranda Ortiz. I live here in Mexico, where Alan is from. I actually grew up in Vancouver, but that was some moons ago. Life takes many turns, and we actually met down here in Mexico in the area of the Riviera Maya, where I know a lot of people enjoy their vacations and holidays. Well, we lived here, and we made regular life down here. And I actually dedicate my life to helping women give birth naturally down here. And I met Alan at the time when he was ready to give birth with his wife. And so we made friends, and this turned into a very long friendship. We've known each other for some time. And what can I say? Life takes funny turns sometimes. When I met him, my life was very stable. I worked in the hotel industry and things seemed to flow very naturally and easily. And then things changed radically in my life. I worked in the hotel zone, and that was where I made my income basically. And I did the birthing courses because that kept my life afloat and my heart happy. And so I would mix these two worlds where I met Alan, as I was saying. And then my husband got cancer and everything changed. Things moved very, very rapidly. I had to actually leave the hotel work that I used to do. I actually stopped, while I kept on giving birth courses, I stopped actually attending the births. If you've ever had a cancer happen in your life, you know that absolutely everything changes. Nothing at all stays the same. And at that point, Alan started to help me out with handling my emotions because I had left my job. I started a new business so that I could actually work from the hospital. Literally, I would take my husband to his chemotherapies and what have you, and I would work from the lobby of the hospital. And I had to school my kids. We used to homeschool before homeschooling was made popular by the pandemic. So schooling my kids was a big change for our family. Lots of things were happening, and that will make you unstable emotionally. I was the backbone of my family. I had to stay strong in very uncertain times. And Alan, as a friend, started playing fireman for me. Honestly, yes, fireman, because I would call him up and I would, as a friend, say, "Oh, Alan, this and this and this is going on. And I'm feeling nervous and I'm feeling anxious and I'm not sure what to do." And he would settle me right down. And he would say, "You know what, let's try this. Do this technique, do this breathing, let's do this visualization, let's focus on this issue that's happening right now here, focus on this, focus on that." And within a phone call, he always managed to talk me down so that I could continue on. Those were very turbulent years, the cancer and his eventual passing, which is a whole other story, but also very much something that was unexpected. Yeah, when he passed on, I sank very, very low. I actually was probably in bed for at least a month watching Netflix. I don't know how I functioned, but I would call him every once in a while and I would say, "Alan, this and this." And again, he would talk me down. And I got to tell you, after his passing, I actually went to psychologists, to all sorts of therapists, and nobody did for me what Alan was able to do for me, which is literally work things out in a very short call. Psychologists, it seemed that maybe one day after years of work, I might be able to work through some of the things that I was working through. With Alan, literally a half an hour phone call was enough for me to be settled enough to continue on with my life and my to-dos. I still had 2 kids to take care of. I still had an economy to figure out. We had taken on a lot of debt, which was a huge burden, and that needed to be worked on. And after a very brief call with Alan, I was able to start doing things. This was 2021 when my husband eventually passed. And I worked with him like this as a fireman for some time until I started to settle in my life, my new life, and the new ups and downs of what had occurred. And at that point, one time I called him and I said, "Hi, Alan, I need to talk to you." And he actually said, "You know what? We need to make an appointment. So you look at my calendar and you book an appointment." And I said, "Oh my God, my fireman is gone. I no longer have a fireman. How am I going to handle this?" And so I booked an appointment, and he said to me, "Miranda, you're beyond the point of needing a fireman at this point. You actually now you need to start working on projecting something different and actually choosing the life that you want to live." Now, when he said this, quite frankly, I was very happy having him as a fireman, but I thought I was doing pretty well with the direction of my life, given the circumstances. And so it sounded a little strange to me to do this, but he'd been so fabulous that I decided to go ahead and do that. And literally that was roughly 6-7 months ago. And I have to tell you that he has absolutely transformed the direction of my life. Things that I was dreaming about nonchalantly without putting purpose or direction to are actually now happening. Big things in my life are now happening. Big contracts, big partnerships that I never would have expected to have come at this particular stage in my life are now actually happening. And so when I was doing my coaching calls with him and we were discussing all of what he has done for me, well, I asked him if there was a possibility that I could actually help make this available to other people. And so he very generously is actually doing a Spanish group with the people that I work with. And it is a group that is very similar to what we are here to talk about today. So I actually want to introduce you, if you don't already know him. His name is Alan Phillips. He is my personal life coach, and I am tremendously grateful for everything that you've done for me, Alan. So here we are yet again, and I really want to let people know what you've done for me, because I think that it's important that people have access to this. It's been such a life changer for me that if I can do anything at all to connect this information that you have with other folks, I am so happy to be a part of this. So thank you, Alan, for everything that you're doing for me and for so many other people.
Miranda, thank you so much for holding this space and for introducing me and for sharing your testimonial about what you went through and what we've been going through together. I can only say it's been an honor so far to serve you as a friend, and then as a coach, and whatever else is coming in the future. It's been a real honor, but most of all, an absolute not only satisfaction but a privilege to be able to have been able to witness your transformation. It's been really amazing, and I'm really thankful for you giving your testimonial now.
No, it's my pleasure. And I want to let everybody know that what the program that Alan is actually going to be making available is something that he's going to be working with my community in Spanish, but it's going to be starting really soon. So for those of you who don't know Alan, I want to highlight some of the things that I have seen him achieve, because I want you to know that it's not just him helping other people achieving, it's also him achieving in his life. He made a jump. Now, I said earlier that I used to live in Vancouver. I grew up over there. It's kind of my hometown in many ways. Now that I live in the Riviera Maya, I've thought about moving back to Vancouver a few times, and the difference in the economy is so huge that it frightens me. And when he told me, "Oh, I think I'm going to go live in Vancouver," are you kidding? Like where? In Kelowna? Or are you going to be on the highway to Whistler, or where? Because my own friends have had to move out from downtown. And for me, it's amazing that he made the jump. He swapped economies. He's thriving in a place that has an economy that is so much more blown up and more expensive than the place where he came from here down in Mexico. So that's amazing. He's living in a beautiful penthouse right downtown where most of my Vancouverite friends cannot afford to live. So I want you to know that he actually uses these techniques also in his own life. Um, and I would love it, Alan, if you would tell me a little bit for the people who don't already know how you work, of how you started actually gathering these tools that you now work with.
Well, it's been a life experience. It all started really for me when I was 7 years old. I'm a natural empath, and I had to figure out how to understand other people's emotions and my own emotions. To go fast forward, by the age of 19, I had probably gone through close to 30 to 40 uh, different programs on personal development, emotional management, energy management, healing, you name it. My father has been a very strong figure in teaching me how to feel. You see, everyone out there is teaching us what to think and how to think. Yet, what I've understood for 2 decades now of professional coaching practice and all of my life is that you're not able to control your thoughts. Even if you think you are controlling your thoughts, you're not able to. You're only able to inspire them. You're only able to inspire them if you develop your ability to feel and to choose what you desire to feel. So everything I do is based on that. Now, about a decade and a half ago, I went through a very, very strong moment in my life. In the course of a year, basically, I got divorced. I'm also an entrepreneur. I had a company in Mexico with which I was commercializing honey and helping close to 6,000 Maya honey producers commercialize their honey in a sustainable way. And that company crashed, and I went into really, really deep debt. Then after that, my father got ill, and it was in about a year. Basically, I got divorced, my business crashed, I went into deep debt. Then I got depressed because of my father passing after he got ill. And then I got a prognosis, basically. So I got ill, and I was given a prognosis from 3 to 6 months of life. So I had helped people that were in similar situations before, but never about myself. So I had to create a methodology for me to get out of where I was and pretty much rebuild my immune system in 3 months. So when that succeeded, I said, okay, what if I use the same to get out of debt? And within 9 months, I was out of debt, very, very deep debt. And then I said, okay, what if I use this to attract the love of my life? And within a year and a half, I met my wife. And I used the same methodology. They told me that before, because of the condition that I had contracted, because of this prognosis that I had, I couldn't have children anymore. And amazingly, I have a 6-year-old beautiful daughter using this same technique as well. And then I wanted to live in Puerto Venturas, which is a beautiful gated community. And I used this same technique and it worked. So I've been using all of this for my own life. And now the quantum leap to come to Vancouver, right? And what you just shared, thank you for sharing. It's all a part of what I do in my life. And the one thing that I adore is to really be able to share all of these with the people that I help, and be able to navigate their their world, their universe, right, and enable them to navigate it freely, joyfully, like you have done,
Yeah,
of
I think
course.
when you've been through things like this, you kind of feel like you need to help other people get through because, at least for me, I know that you helped me, and so you want to pay it forward. That saying that we don't have in Spanish, but I think is actually very important. When you've lived through something like this, you want to help other people live through because it's not easy when things get tough. In that regard, part of what the program that you're going to be offering is about setting goals. And right now, here we are at New Year. So it seems like an obvious time to get things moving. And most people set goals, and a lot of people have had the experience in their life where they set goals and they turn into dreams, and those dreams never happen because they stay in dreamland. So Could you tell us all a little bit about how it is that you actually take those dreams and bring them down so they actually materialize in people's lives and not just stay in dreamland?
Sure. Well, that has to do a lot with the name of the program, actually, that I'm sharing, right? It's Align and Abound. It's about creating an alignment of the frequencies, the emotions that you desire to experience in your life, right? And then becoming abundant with them. It's a practical process, it's a training, right? Many times when you decide you want to do something new in your life, right? You have contradictory thoughts about it. Like, for example, you want to lose weight, but then you're walking through the street and you see a pizza place and you're like, oh, but I so much desire a pizza. But I said I'm going to lose weight. But I desire the pizza, but I desire to lose weight. And you end up having a piece of pizza, right? Because the resistance that you get from that that's in front of you is stronger than the desire of what you really wanted, which was to lose weight. You see, energy responds to the path of less resistance. So every time we make a choice, if we make a choice out of what we don't want, out of what we don't desire, or out of what we need, right, we're placing a resistance. So if I say I want to lose weight because I look fat, me looking fat is what prompted the choice of losing weight. Therefore, me looking fat and everything that makes me fat is actually what's inspiring me to go forward and lose weight. So now I have an inner battle happening. The process that I bring gets that inner battle out of the way. It allows you to align directly with what you really desire and get there in what is now called a quantum leap. It's based on quantic awareness, very practical tools that allow you to get to where you really desire to go with resonance. Means
Well, and in that case, I think it's
attracting what you really desire in life.
right. And I want to just put on the table for people that I'm somebody who didn't really understand what her emotions were for or about until this last year and a bit. So when he says that the tools are practical, a lot of what he says when you haven't actually had the experience can sound very airy fairy. It can sound very wishy-washy, but one of the things that for me makes Alan very unique is that those things that in other people's practices, in my experience, and it's only my experience, sometimes don't actually conclude to something. With Alan, they are very practical, very workable tools. You don't have to be a believer. It doesn't matter. You literally are going to be focusing on your body and you're going to start understanding what your emotions are about. My background is such that I was never really in touch with my emotions. I was never really taught what they were about. They were kind of a bothersome thing that you tried to do away with as quickly as you could so that you could get stuff done. That's kind of how I was brought up. And working with Alan, I have found and I have learned not only what the emotions are for, I've learned to enjoy my emotions, even the hard ones, or at least appreciate them. And better yet, to make them tools so that it can actually, those emotions can bring things forward in my life. And I never would have believed that if I hadn't actually gone through it and worked with Alan on this. It just would not have been something that I could have put in my head. And one of the beautiful things that working with Alan is that it's not about whether you get it or not. You do what he says and things start happening. And it would be like magic if it was, I mean, if you were to read it in a book, you'd say, oh, this is crazy. Are you kidding me? But this has been my life experience for the last 6 months.
It's all about being effortless. You see, we put so much effort in what we do that same amount of effort that we put into where we want to get to gets in the way of us getting to where we want to go. So all the tools that I share are actually effortless. You just need to practice them. That's all. And the principle of them is like this: every time you have an emotion, you create magnetic energy. Every time you have a thought, you create electric energy. When you bring both together and you give meaning to that feeling now that you have because you have a thought aligned with that emotion, right? Then you need to figure out how to sustain it. And as you sustain it, you're able to resonate with it. And we all live in a field of relational energy. We're all energy at the end of the day, right? So once you start resonating in what you really desire, then things start happening the way you want them to. But you're always resonating. It's like, for example, let's say, when I was going to become a father, and I had to go get diapers for my son the first time for my first marriage, right? For me, it was really amazing the amount of diapers that I had to buy. So it was something that I was emotionalizing about a lot. And amazingly, everywhere I turned around, I would see diaper advertising. So I thought there was a complot from the diaper companies on myself because all I was talking about was diapers. Similarly, like when you're going to buy a car and you see the car everywhere, right? And you're really emotional about buying that car and you see it everywhere. But once you have it and you're not emotional about it, you don't see it anymore. Your attention goes where you're resonating. And there's a very simple and practical path that I discovered that I call the emotional perspective, that which, if you follow step by step, you're able to resonate that which you really desire, right? And put it into your attention span so that you're able to actually perform on it effectively and efficiently. It's very energy efficient at the end of the day because it's effortless.
Yeah, that's one of the things that was surprising because literally with a psychologist and other therapists, I would literally have to work through very hard emotions, bring them back up, live them again. And you went exactly in the opposite direction from everybody else, which was really interesting because I wasn't getting anywhere with anybody else. And with you, it was easier, it was smoother, it was far less painful, and actually got a lot more accomplished. So it's interesting because in that regard, you actually do go counter direction to every other therapist or psychologist or what have you that I talk to. So yeah, it's effortless is an interesting word because no other therapy that I went through or therapist that I worked with actually was effortless, everything but. Now, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about the difference in that regard for what you would call motivation versus inspiration, because I think that's another thing where what you do and how you work stands out.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. See, when you think of motivation is something that you want to get. So now that is you have your New Year's resolutions, for example, right? And you're thinking of things that you want to get, goals that you want to achieve. So you start to get motivated about the results that you're going to get when you achieve these goals, right? So that takes your own energy to keep yourself motivated, even if you face ups and slopes, if you face challenges. In order to face those challenges and go through those challenges, you keep on motivating yourself. It's like you're running after your goals. You're running after what you want to achieve. It's like you have to reach out to them. So why is it that you need to persecute that which you want in life, right? The law of cause and effect is very, very simple. Whatever energy you put out there to what you want to reach is the energy that you'll get back from it. And that energy has to do with what you feel. Because you won't believe anything you don't feel. You will doubt actually everything you cannot feel. Right? So first you have to feel it. So you're feeling stressed going after your goals, you will only get more stress. And if you're feeling that they're outside of you, that you have to reach them, then that's why you're following them. And you will continue to follow them. The good part of that is that once you actually reach them after a lot of sacrifice, because there is a gradual improvement to that with cause and effect. You get to evaluate what's right and what's wrong. So that's the normal trial and error path that everyone is going through, right? But if you want to make a quantum leap, you can erase the trial and error, right? And just start resonating and putting the energy that we really desire to experience. And that comes from inspiration. That comes from what you're feeling so that you can inspire your thoughts to create the behaviors that will get you to your results. And usually, what it would look like is completely unreasonable because nothing of what you really desire is reasonable. If it be reasonable, it'd be already created, you'd be already there. So, if you're just sticking to the reasonable, you'll have to compromise what you really desire for what has already been done. Reason comes from experience, from the past. And there's one guy that's really intelligent that we all look after, Albert Einstein, that said, knowledge is limited because it's already been created. It's from the past. Imagination encircles the universe. Imagination comes from inspiration.
And that goes right back to what I was saying about having to figure out what emotions are for. And this is something that I think, now that I know it, should be taught in schools to our kids when they're young. Because, man, if we'd known this from when we were little, life would be very different. But we have no training, we don't understand. And it turns out that it's one of the most important pieces of getting things done. And nobody tells you about that. So in that regard, I think I'd also want you to talk to me about because a lot of people who might be listening to this are interested in self-help and self-improvement and personal development. I'd like you to tell me a little bit about how personal identity gets in the way of actually developing. And I think it goes a little bit along the tracks of what we're discussing right now.
Yeah, in the personal development industry, like right now, everything is taught in a way of how to create an identity for that which you want to create in your life. So you have to build an identity, then get into the identity so that you're able to reach your goal. At the end, it has to do a lot with motivation in that matter, right? There's a lot of inspiration in the identity that you want to build. But then again, when you're building an identity, that means that you're generalizing your state of being. Therefore, you will focus in everything that doesn't align with the energy of your identity. And that means placing attention in what you don't want, in what you don't desire, and in what you need to meet your identity. Therefore, you'll be looking back into what's reasonable. So you won't be setting yourself to be available for everything that is possible from what you really desire, but only from what is possible from experience and knowledge. So you'll be limiting your ability to really manifest that with that life experience that you would really love.
And it goes back to you can only think about the things that you already know because you've already lived them. So you can't actually get out of what you already know, except for maybe if you get lucky, but you can't live your life waiting for luck to happen your way. But this is a way where you literally end up creating your luck, which is quite interesting.
Look at it this way. Whenever you're going to do something new, the first thing that you want to evaluate are the circumstances, the situation, right? And then the circumstances. But you have to understand that the circumstances that are going to come within you, the circumstances live inside of you. They don't live outside of you. It's your interpretation of the situation, right? Now, these circumstances that you're evaluating have to do with what you already know. And to get to where you want to go, you really don't know. And that's why you feel that you have to persecute that which you don't know by what you know. It's illogical. You can't get to what you don't know from what you know. You have to go ahead not knowing.
And that's
Then
a very scary,
that's a
that's
very
a
scary.
very scary thing for most of us.
Now, not knowing doesn't mean that you don't have certainty. There's a very big difference. We get certainty as human beings from what we feel. We get uncertain if we pay attention to our thoughts and we can't feel our thoughts. So you can bring certainty in going into what you don't know by actually choosing what you desire to feel. And like I said, there's a training path to be able to choose what you desire to feel, to inspire your intellect, to create the behaviors to get to where you want to go in your results. Get rid of identity so that see, you don't create a situation out of what you know, out of the circumstances that you know. Create purposeful attitudes for the moment, and that will get you much further.
And I have to say that when I'm doing my coaching with Alan, and I am somebody who, through my university career, took lots of notes and made sure I underlined everything and had everything very much structured in my head. I have to tell you that when I do my coaching with Alan, I close my eyes, I listen to him, and I assume I'm not going to get half of it, But if I do the work, it's going to function. And this is a conclusion that I've come to just by working with him. That's my own personal way of dealing with the fact that sometimes what he says doesn't make sense in my head, but it ends up making sense in my life. He actually in the trainings goes through a lot more detail. And so this all becomes very, very clear. But for those of you who might come from a more skeptical place, for those of you who haven't worked with these kinds of ideas, I have to say I had not. And at first it all sounded very strange to me, but all I can do is tell you that it actually works. So I want to tell you a little bit about what the program that he's going to be offering is about. So Align and Abound for 2024. We will unlock the secrets of inner peace and unwavering clarity of mind to unleash your vision for 2024 with integrity, manifesting the abundance you truly deserve, and create a vision that aligns with your desires, breaking free from the patterns of the past. So that's exactly what Alan was talking about right now, where we can't really get to a new place if we're just working from what we've already done and known, because then we're stuck in what we're doing. This program is a catalyst for change. Bid farewell to the challenges of 2023 and welcome 2024, filled with abundance. I will guide you to a profound transformation of your limiting beliefs with ease and flow. So you transform emotional turmoil into the peace and self and clarity of mind, stress into meaningful connection, and inspiration into manifestation with ease and flow.
Those are the 3 steps that we will be going through in the program. First, how to acquire peace of self and clarity of mind. If you don't have peace of self, you cannot focus to create anything you want in life, right? The second is how to transform emotional turmoil, right, into clarity of mind, so that the emotions that of the past or limiting beliefs or blocks that you have won't get in the way, causing stress. Because when you feel stress, you constrain yourself. You pretty much isolate yourself because you get fear. So we want to transform stress into connection. We have two sets of hormones that manage stress. One of them is cortisol, which constrains, right? And whenever you have fear, you isolate. But the other one is also oxytocin, and oxytocin creates connection. So when you feel the stress of manifestation, because every time you're going to manifest something in life, there is stress present. But there's a way to manage it so that it actually connects you to where you want to go, to where you really desire. Right? And then inspiration into manifestation. Now that you have peace of self, that you have clarity of mind, that you know how to manage stress for connection, then you can get really inspired, right? And manifest.
And what he's talking about, again, just to give you a very specific example of how this actually works out in life, I, because of all I went through, started, well, getting in touch with other women who are widows who had similar situations to myself. And quite frankly, the amount of time that I see getting through this process has taken most other people that have gone through things similar to what I've gone through. And it's not that it's a competition, it's not, but I just realized that by comparison, I have been able to not get past, because you never really get past this. It always is something that you're going to carry in somewhere in your life, but to manage to get through, to thrive with, to even, I dare say, be thankful for. I am now at a point where no matter how difficult and hard those things that I've gone through have been, I actually now see why they've been helpful to my life and the positive things that came out of them. And that's something that I'd heard some folks say about cancer, that when you really deal with a cancer, you do get to a point where you actually are thankful for at least some of the parts. And I think I would roll my eyes back in the back of my head when I heard that, but I can now say that it's actually true. And it's very much these steps that Alan is talking about, where you learn to deal with, you learn to manage the stress, you learn to focus and challenge and channel that stress to something positive, to the point where you're actually thriving. I can now say that I'm thriving, and I don't think anybody who saw the state I was in 2021 would believe that here we are in 2024 and my life has radically changed so dramatically. And so what Alan is saying is something that becomes very, very concrete when you start living it in your life. And I'm living proof of that. In that regard, I want to tell you guys all that the program is starting next week. And so if this is something that you're going to be interested in doing, you want to sign up now, because it's actually going to be 8 Mondays in a row. So the first day of the program is Monday 8th, so Monday next week, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. So it's a 90-minute program each Monday. It's going to be happening for 8 Mondays in a row. And he actually gives the coaching once a week. You do 20 minutes of work every day. And those 20 minutes of work are easy, really, compared to what you have to do with other systems and what have you. You just need to go and sit and do your thing. But if you go and sit and do your thing, I can tell you from my personal experience that you will see changes before the program's over, and you will start to see
I
things.
remember Miranda when when you were skeptical about it, right? When we were going through the first session, when we started for you to reach out to where you want to go in life after being a firefighter for you for a while. I still remember that first session when I said, okay, let's breathe, let's go within, and let's create that reality that you want to step into, right? And we went through the steps and all of those steps, and you were really able to align with that. And then you said, now what? And I said, just sustain the steps, just sustain. Don't do anything else. Just sustain and go forth and allow for life to develop for you. Allow for things to happen and just follow as things are happening. And you said, I've never done that before. How? I said, don't worry about the how. You are the how. You'll see the how. And it was amazing. 1 week, not even 3 days passed. And you sent me a message and you said, Alan, you're a wizard. I just had to. Everything just was created the way I imagined it. I said, yeah, continue with it. Just hold it on. And within a week, you had created more than, I don't know, like in the past 3 months or so, what you were battling with.
It was actually funny to see the WhatsApp conversations between Alan and myself, because I would just send him these messages like, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened. Blah, 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 blah. And I would type out these long stories, and it would be exactly what I was pushing for. And some things, in fact, things that I'd been working towards for years and hadn't been able to put together. And all of a sudden, doors just started to seemingly magically open. And so, yeah, you will, I guarantee you, find that you're going to start to see these things in your life before the program's over. I like the idea of not over promising things. So I don't want to say by the first week, but I can tell you that in my experience, it was within the first week. But let's not assume that everybody's going to have the same experience. I am sure that before the program is over, you will have seen these things start to happen in your life. It was so uncanny for me. And literally, I worked with a lot of different people in Spanish, in English, in Mexico, in Canada, in the States. I mean, I was looking for help wherever it was available, and nothing worked for me the way that this has worked for me. So I really, again, want to pay it forward and make sure that this information gets out to as many people as possible. You can actually find the link. It's on screen right now, and we will add it to the comments as well, so that you can find it underneath this video in the caption. So you can click the link and you will find the information for the program. The program is actually $300 USA. And I got to tell you, it's going to multiply for you. Every cent that you invest in this is something that's going to come back many times over, but not just in money, which is the best part. I actually didn't do the work with Alan for professional reasons, because the reason I was working with him was because of my personal situation. Everything's changed. It's my personal situation has changed. My relationship with my children, which after losing their dad was a whole to do. My relationship with my mother, which is a whole lifetime of to do. My job, my work, my income, my happiness, everything started to move. So whether you are looking to do this because of maybe your work, or maybe you're looking to do this because you want to shift the way your life is going in your personal realm, or what have you, I can tell you that it's going to move everything, and everything is going to start looking better, brighter, nicer, happier, smoother and easier than it's ever been before. I mean, at least that is very much my experience. So that little $300 investment is nothing compared to what you're going to get back. Seriously. I don't know if there's anything else that you think would be important to add to this, Alan.
It's important so that they don't have a misconception about what you got through your results. This program, the Line in Abound, has the principles of all of the tools that you have practiced, right? And they're put into your vision for 2024, right? So you will be able to prepare a vision for 2024 that is fully aligned to what you desire to live, and everything will start moving in your direction. Now, if you want to go to specific things of your life that you're going through, like Miranda went through, for example, the relationship with her mother, the relationship with her profession, right? And all the specifics that she started to go through, then she went through a personalized program, which is called the Emotional Perspective Journey, right? But this Align and Abound, the specifics of it is for you to be able to create a vision that you want to manifest for this 2024. And the tools that you will learn there you can actually use them for every other aspect of your life. And I'd be glad to help you as well.
So again, thank you, Alan, for everything you've done for me and everything you're doing for other people. If you're thinking about doing this, I actually just told this morning my very, 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 very best friend, who I'm going to be sending this link to in a moment. He lives in Toronto. This very morning, I was saying to him, Juan, you have to do this program. Literally. And this is my college buddy, my best friend in the world. And if I'm recommending it for him, it's because I seriously believe that it's going to be something that's going to change things for the better for you. So this is why I'm so happy to be able to share my experience and to share a little bit more about what Alan does with more folks, so that you can all actually get in touch with what you want to do and start manifesting your life. I think everybody puts their little grain of sand into this planet and the direction that things go. And the more of us that are actually being able to get in touch with this energy, the better world we're going to live in. So don't even think about it. You've got nothing to lose and so much universe to win. So thank you, Alan, for this. And I hope to see you in the program. I'll be there.
Yep. Miranda, thank you so much for this space. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. This is so valuable to get the word out of what these tools have done for me, what they have done for you, what they have done for hundreds of people that I've helped, and for everyone that is listening and watching this video. If you're thinking about it, if in some way this touched you, just book. I will also put a link to book a call, a direct call with me, and book it in your calendar. If you want to talk further, if something resonated with you and you'd like to talk further about what resonated with you, I'd be glad to help and listen out to you and see what you're going through and see how this program can help you get to where you want to go.
Super. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who's been watching us. And we'll leave the links again underneath in the comments of the places where you are watching this now. And get in touch with Alan and really change your 2024 for the better. Have a good night.
Thank you, Miranda. Thank you.